Totalenergies en EPE Corporation hebben het finaal investeringsbesluit voor de ontwikkeling van Granmorgu-productieveld in blok 58 in het Surinaams zeegebied bekendgemaakt. Patrick Pouyan, de CEO van Totalenergies, vertelt hoe het finaal investeringsbesluit allemaal is begonnen. Sunweb TV heeft dit beeld van Jetskis Suriname.
In fact, with people who like me, who have a long experience in oil and gas, it was not at all turbulent. It's more the expectations of the people, which are always quite impatient. In fact, from Totalenergies' point of view, it was quite a nice, I would say, journey. We engaged with Apache to become partner in mid-29. We managed to find an agreement end 29, so only 6 months. We made the first discovery with Maca at the beginning of 2020, and then we made several discoveries. What was more complex, but we know that, is that we didn't make the discoveries in the right order, you know, and then we have to appraise the discoveries. There were some discoveries which were quite gassy, in fact, and the gas is more complex to develop because you need to find a market. And finally, in fact, we ended by having these 2 discoveries, Crack-Badu and Sapakala, which were quite successful because when we appraised them, 6 positive wells. So in fact, in only less than 4 years, 20 to 23, we managed to identify a large oil pool, more than 750 million barrels of oil to be developed, which allowed us to come, and I came last year, 1 year ago, to visit the authorities to tell them, okay, we have in our hands something which is big enough, and now we engaged into engineering studies, and we beat a record. I can tell you, moving from end of appraisal in 23 and 1 year only after being able to sanction the project, which means to award all the big contracts. It's a project where we will award $10 billion of contracts in less than a year. It's a record in the history of the company. So in fact, maybe people's expectations are, I would say, are always impatient, but from us, from our point of view, from exploration 2020 to production 2028, first oil, 8 years, you are, if all the exploration ventures were as prolific as this one, I will be very happy as the CEO of Totalenergies. So I'm very happy today to be here in Suriname to announce this FID. And I'm sure, again, the people will think that the oil will come tomorrow. No, we still need to build an impressive project. It's a giant project, $10 billion. And it will take 4 years, and the production will come by 2028. For me, it means a lot. First, because this year is the 100-year anniversary of Totalenergies, so I'm happy to launch such a giant project in a new country. And I think what struck me is that, again, we managed to establish ourselves in Suriname in less than 5 years. In fact, our company is celebrating its 100-year anniversary. We are the only oil and gas major company. We managed to develop a giant company with no oil and gas in France. So we have always been obliged to go abroad. So for me, and we think that this celebration is 100 years of pioneer. So I have the feeling myself to be a pioneer coming to Suriname to meet the authorities, new country, and to be able to announce such a project. So I'm very happy, in fact, fundamentally. It's part of my life of CEO as some nice moment like this one to come to your country, Suriname, to meet Surinamese authorities and to share with them a moment, I would say, of pleasure together in order to bring, and I think we will bring prosperity to your country, which of course for us, to my companies as well, of course, we are there to make some profits, but the feeling that we will help people getting out of poverty and contributing to a better life to Surinamese people make me quite happy today. An FID, what does it mean? It means that today we are committed together with our partner Apache, with Statsoli and with the authorities. We'll sign large contracts, 3 large contracts, one with SBM, a company which will build what we call the floating production unit. It's a giant boat, in fact, where we put all production units, $3 billion contract, which will be awarded to them. Then we'll award a contract to another company called Saipem for the subsea lines and one to Technip FMC for all the subsea equipment. We'll build on the 175 kilometers of subsea lines. We'll drill 32 wells, so all this equipment will be put subsea 1,400 meter depth to water depth to 100 water depth. So this is the starting point from this construction phase. And we will build all that. Some of that will be built in different countries all over the planet, in China, in Malaysia, in Italy. And part of it will be spent in Suriname, which is where we have a direct contribution first to the Surinamese economy and Surinamese people. We estimate that we'll spend more than $1 billion out of the 10 here by logistics, support to drilling, support to operations, so a lot of things which we have already done, in fact, beginning to done during the exploration phase at a small scale, and suddenly we will expand it, so which means that we'll need to have more Surinamese people working for us. We estimate that we'll create 2,000 direct jobs and 4,000 indirect jobs, hotels, all that. So it will be a lot of activity around this project. So that's what we are today launching. People, I think, do not imagine what it is, but the oil industry is able to build the new cathedral of the 21st century. And you will have your cathedral with this Grand Morgu FPSO somewhere 150 kilometers from the coast. And that's what we are building for your country. Yes. Yeah, it's true.
What's the difference?
The difference is that we are in an oil environment where the price of oil is around $70, $80 per barrel. So you have an inflation. In fact, what happens is that even in this region, in the Gulf of Mexico, here, next to in Guyana, you have many projects. So you have a lot of activity. So we suffered from inflation, I would say. We did our best to manage this inflation. Compared to other projects today, which we have sanctioned, this one is quite well controlled. So that's why we will spend $10.5 billion. We have also decided to embark, to put on board the last technologies in order to minimize the emissions. For example, this famous production unit, will be completely electric with zero flare, so close flare, with permanent detection of any methane detector. So all that has a cost. When you want to minimize your impact on the environment, it has a cost. We took some decisions. But again, all in all, yes, it's a giant project. Yes, it's $10.5 billion, but it's fitting all our criteria. And that means that we are able to, with the board of directors, we met last week in Paris, we sanctioned it, we approved it, because it's a giant project. And this first investment could call more beyond, because we see, in fact, we are developing through Grand Morgu 2 fields today, one called Krabadu, the other one called Sapakara. And in fact, we are strongly convinced that there are more other smaller fields which are in this part of the Block 58. And with tomorrow, we will be able to drill and to develop and to put production through Grand Morgu. So for us, Grand Morgu, we see it as well as a hub of production for the future. And we have taken on this hub, on this FPSO, some provisions in order to be able to connect more lines in the future, more wells. So to extend the life of the project. So Grand Morgu is a Goliath grouper, I understand. It's this fish. Yes. Has a life for 40 years, up to 40 years. It's a giant fish, up to 40 years. I'm sure Grand Morgu unit will be designed and will have a production for maybe up to 40 years because it's a prolific block and concession on which we are working.